What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Centex retirement facility, asylum, ranch, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's probably a combination of all of those things. It's been a minute or so since we last spoke. Things have been a little busy. I've been out here doing a bit of grass touching. And I've been having a good time, as you can likely see. Lots of projects, lots of things going on, and got twin toddlers now. Things are just a little bit hectic around here, but I thought I would check in and let you guys know I'm still here, and yeah, give you a bit of a ranch tour and what's been going on over on my end. Hope everybody has been doing good. The first order of business is the project I'm currently working on, which is solar. So I actually have a couple of these inverters, and also please, don't judge me for the rainbow lights on my fans. If you know a fix for this, please let me know. But in Linux, there is really no RGB controller. There is, but they always have these warnings that, like, hey, we might actually break your entire motherboard. And that's just not worth it to me to have pretty colors. I do wish fans would just default to white instead of flashy rainbow. Why is that? Why do we have to default to rainbow? Anyway, I've been working with these solar inverter batteries or battery, and I don't know what to call this. Anyways, they're kind of like a combined unit. It's kind of like those solar generators like Jackery or EcoFlow. That's kind of how I found my way here, actually, is I started messing around with those for doing some power out in the pasture, and I wanted something a little more, and then I wanted backup power for the house and to make it solar for the house. We do also have a gas generator, but it's expensive to run a gas generator. And then, of course, so where we live, the population is like 1,000 people. So the power goes out fairly often, and when it does, we are not top priority to get fixed. So I definitely wanted to have backup power, and something like, for example, a Generac backup generator. It's all pure loss, right? Like to back up your whole house, right? A Generac's going to be 20 to 30 grand installed, and then to run it, another like $200 a day, just in like gas or propane or natural gas. So they're really expensive to install, really expensive to run. There's really no benefit there that I can see. With solar, at least you get some sort of ROI over a long period of time. That said, I will say I would never get solar as a investment. I think you'd be better off just taking the same amount of money that you were investing into solar and putting it in the S&P 500 index fund, and you're probably going to ROI better. So why solar? Well, I just wanted backup power. And I just think it's cool. It's just cool. So anyways, what I have here are, I actually have two of these Holis units. They're the Holis Apollo 5K. And the reason I went with these over something like there's EG4 makes like 18K and these 12K like wall mount inverters, and then you can buy like server rack batteries, and you can do this a little cheaper than the way that I went about it. Although I will say the prices listed on like Holis's actual website, these are not the real prices. If you go through a distributor, it's like 3/4 that price, or actually a little less. So I would, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, or if you've ever looked at Holis, just look at a distributor's price rather than Holis's price. But anyways, I like these for a variety of reasons. One, you can expand the batteries and they communicate pretty well with each other. Multiple units will balance. So if you tie them together, multiple units balance with each other. They also have huge solar input. It's like 60 to 500 volts or VOC for the incoming solar, which is kind of huge, which I think is probably one of the more important things. So if you don't have a huge VOC, that means you're going to need really more inverter, or really like more solar panels, more of like everything. Whereas really, if you can get everything you need right away over the course of, say, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours in a day, I think that's good, right? Solar panels are like the cheapest thing in the entire calculation. So I like that. I like that huge solar input. Also, these, you can configure them in like a million different ways. So you could hardwire these straight up to your house. You can also, when you like pair them together, you can use like a split phase 240 volt, like you can use a standard, just basically generator 50 amp inlet to your house. They are portable. They're heavy as heck, but these ones come with like a little thing that you can wheel them around, but you can move them. I like that aspect. I think everybody who gets into solar winds up, they change their mind, or they expand their system, or they want to change things. These, I figured I could buy these, learn about solar, learn about what I wanted. These can do just about anything you could possibly want. There's all kinds of configurations, all kinds of settings. You can have single phase 120 volt, split phase 240. You can have 3-phase. You can combine these to any combination of these like inverters that you could want. And then also out here, we've got many buildings. So even if I decided on the house, hey, I actually want that 18K EG4 inverter, I could switch to that easily. And then I could use these at the barn or here in my lab. Or there's multiple buildings out here, like the workshop, all this stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's my current project, is the solar. Also, speaking of this being the separate building, I get this question fairly often because I've posted a few pictures of the solar rack. I do actually want to do solar power all this, and actually the computer here is solar powered by this unit here. So right now I'm not really getting any solar input anymore. But as you can see, also these things come off, it's cute. I like it. So you can control things here. And again, I really like it because it's so simple. So for example, right now I'm on battery first. So I don't know how well that'll come on here, but basically it'll drain the battery. And then one of the other cool things about this unit, so since this is not actually outside and I'm really just solar powering my computer, you're essentially like grid tied. But also with solar. So as long as I'm getting solar input, it's going to use up the battery here. And then when it runs out of the battery, it's actually just going to pass through my wall. So I just have it plugged into the wall outlet, and it uses solar first, or battery first, which is solar. And then when and if that runs out, it just goes through the wall. So that's pretty cool too. So it's just a nice way to have grid backup essentially for your solar in like a really basic way. So on our house, what I did is I had an electrician install two 50 amp inlets to the house, and half the house is split out on a sub panel. And this is quickly turning into a solar video rather than a ranch tour. I promise the ranch tour is coming. So I had the house split into two parts basically. So half the house could be completely off grid, completely disconnected to grid. The other half is on grid. And so like half of it can be solar powered. And then my plan there is, one, I use that for my generator, and then two, I can basically start solar without needing, because basically like the most expensive thing is like the batteries for solar. Like if you really want to fully back up your house, you need a lot of batteries. and if you want to back up and like be fully off grid, you need a ton of batteries. So you always want to be able to fall back to grid, I think, because it's like to cover your house 85% of the time, it's like half the cost. That last little 15% will like double your cost. So anyway, so half the house can be split apart, and then so I can kind of tinker, play around, and then if I like it, I'll continue to expand and essentially do the entire house, and then probably do this area next. I'd also like to personally learn a little bit more about doing kind of my own electrical work. It was a pain in the butt to try to get anybody to do this work, and no insult to those professionals, but I'm pretty sure I could do just as good, if not better. So if I just simply know what I'm doing. So anyways, now let me, I think I'm going to take you guys on the drone and give you a tour of the rest of the ranch and leave the solar behind, but maybe more projects on solar in the future. One of the things I'd really like to do, especially now that I've been solar powering the computer, is doing like a solar powered hosted GPUs. So host the GPUs on like vast.ai or something like that, and just have it be purely solar powered, and then Starlink, since that's our internet. So I could like literally put it somewhere out in the pasture. It could be completely off grid, just connecting through Starlink, getting all the power from solar, and then host GPUs on vast.ai. So things like 3090s, all that, like any consumer grade GPU, like your return on investment on the GPU is like a year if you don't have to pay for electricity. So obviously inverters, batteries, all that. Like I said earlier, it's not a great investment, I don't think. I'm pretty sure you're much more likely to ROI, have a much better return if you just took the money that you would spend on solar and invest in the S&P 500 index fund. But solar is fun. It's cool. It's just cool, and I like having backup power, especially out here. Taking charge of like all these like services and depending less and less on other people. I enjoy that process. I enjoy the engineering aspect of it. I had someone get angry at me on Twitter, or now X, like for suggesting that you can pump water out of the ground and have your own well water, and you don't even need city sewer. You can have a septic. And somebody got very angry at me, like over that. And I was like, it's cool. You can pump perfectly fine drinking water, and in some places, I would argue it's better than the drinking water, at least here in the United States, than you would get from the city. But anyways, I digress. Let me take you guys around the beautiful ranch. All right, we will be flying the DJI Avata 2. This is a super fun drone. We'll see if I can make it through without crashing. So it's been super cool being out here. It's so quiet, so peaceful. It's just been so nice compared to everywhere that we've been before. I cut all these trails. We'll only see a handful of the ones that I've cut, but I cut all these trails with my tractor, which I think if you like engineering and you like Python, you'd probably love a tractor. It's kind of the Python of dirt moving or something. It's rarely the best tool for the job, but it's often the second best tool for the job. So I've been really enjoying that. It helps you, once you start having like a tractor, just any like, it's like any power tool really, but a tractor is just a really powerful tool. Once you have something like that, you start to be able to like look at things just completely different, because suddenly you can do things that you could never have done before. You know, with a tractor, you can add a hill or remove a hill. And that's really cool. So anyways, out here we have a handful of acres, and coming basically back this way, this is kind of no man's land out here. This is really the deer, the coyote, all of that. The wildlife out here is spectacular. We have so much diversity out here, even in like little stuff like insects. Like there's so many insects I've never seen, and when I like scan them with my phone and like look them up, it's like the only information I can find on these bugs is like from like universities and stuff, that like it'll be like some I forget what the type of degree it is, but it's like people that like research bugs, because there's really no other information on these bugs, at least some of them that we find, which is pretty crazy. So let's see if we can find the chickens today. Let's see if anybody's in here. No, they usually hang around over here. I put this little feeder out for them. They're usually somewhere in here, but they're probably not the biggest fan of the drone. But I'll put some pictures up of the chickens. We have, let's see, we've got 7 hens and 1 rooster. We had 8 hens and 1 quite literally disappeared without a trace. Probably a large bird got them. They're all free range, so it is what it is. I think that if I was a chicken, I'd want to be free range. Yeah, it is what it is. We definitely have coyotes and fox and all kinds of other stuff out here, so yeah. Anyways, here is my baby. Call it Amos. It's named after Amos from the Expanse series, if you guys are familiar. Absolutely love it. Have a few attachments. One of those is a pallet forks, and that's like the best thing in the world. Like anything heavy, you can just move around on the pallet forks. Even little stuff like, or not little stuff, but even stuff that you wouldn't even consider for pallet forks, like, I'll come over here. This is my pile of rock. Never thought I would be super excited about piles of limestone, but I love me a pile of limestone. There's so much that you can do with limestone, including the driveway and all that. Let's see if I can get over here. I'm losing signal a little bit, but anyways, yeah, like this giant log, like we took a tree down, cut it up into pieces, and then, you know, if you just have some pallet forks on your tractor, you can easily move these absolutely massive logs. I'm planning to use this as a bit of a ballast to continue reinforcing my solar panels that I'm going to put out for the house. So coming back over here, we'll take a quick visit to our garden. We really just put this up as fast as we could, so it's definitely not the prettiest of gardens. The best thing out here is our sweet potato. We could definitely be a sweet potato farm out here. The soil is just not great. We've been trying to slowly treat it as best as possible. As part of why we have those chickens is we're just trying to treat the soil and try to cultivate it and get it back pretty healthy again. I'm not sure what else we could really grow successfully out here, but we've got some peppers coming in, some tomatoes. Can't really quite see those tomatoes though, can we? I'm not really sure. There's definitely some tomatoes on here. Maybe you can see it better on the video than, yeah, at least we have a couple of tomatoes. But we have these like giant, what are they called, tomato caterpillars or tobacco caterpillars? But anyways, they eat your tomatoes. They just like poke a hole, bore in, and go to town. But they're super cool looking, super cool looking caterpillars. But boy, do I hate them nowadays. We'll come over here to our orchard. It's on its way. It's not the greatest orchard ever. It looks pretty sad at the moment, but we've got some peach trees that we put in, apple, cranberry, avocado. We've even got a little blackberry bush that has followed us through, I want to say 3 different moves, including from Texas. So that's pretty cool to still have that thing kicking. It's been uprooted so many times. Let's see if we can spot it. It's very hard to see. Here it is right here. Yeah, one of these days I'm probably just going to mow over it accidentally, honestly. But hopefully it'll get much bigger. It has been giant compared to this. Probably, it used to be, I don't even know, probably like 10 feet tall or so. Coming out here, this is usually where I take a lot of photos. So if you follow me on Twitter or X, this is a view you've probably seen many a times. Winter is approaching, so the grass is not quite as lush as it once was, but there's actually an aquifer that runs basically right here all the way through, and it is a flowing aquifer. You could have, what do they call, artesian wells, whatever they're called. You could have one here, but we just have a regular well, like a 3 horsepower pump. Let's see if there's anything else. So this is another spot. This is a candidate number 1 for a lot of solar panels. It's a south facing hill. It could definitely generate a lot of power on that hill. And actually, this is basically, to give you an idea, this hill actually continued all the way over to here. All of this was cleared and leveled by the tractor. And once again, that's just, it's one example of like, man, that tractor is a lot of fun. You just see a whole area. I can't even imagine. You could clear it. Someone with a little more work ethic than me, I'm sure could have cleared that, but I would not have wanted to be that person. Okay, so then we'll come over to probably the last place, which is our beehives that I at least want to show. The rest of it is mostly just, you know, it's just forest, basically. I've got some trails through it and all that, but it's just forest. I don't want to get too close to piss off the bees, but this is our beehives. Actually, there's 2 of them. The second one, the one that is not, the one that's like green and white, it doesn't have any bees in it right now, and I'm not even sure if it was populated when we moved in, but both of them were left behind by the previous owner. So my wife and I have been slowly learning about bees, trying to make sure we keep these guys happy and healthy. We recently added a brood box and a super box. That was super. It was cool doing it. Luckily we had bee suits and all that, but at one point basically the entire hive is like swarming around us. It was a crazy feeling. The population of this hive is probably 80,000 bees or so. So that was quite crazy. So anyways, let's see if we can spot these chickens before we leave. But oh, and then also I'll show you guys my pasture Wi-Fi. So this is one of the solar stations. This one's a bit overkill. It is they're basically those like portable solar generators, and then so those sit in that little box behind there. That's a I want to say it's like a rabbit house or something. It's like an outdoor dog house basically. So I put the solar generator in there. I got the solar panels here. They're just laid out. These ones are very lazily laid out. And then I have basically a few of these stations around the pasture, and it connected that thing that's spray painted green. I just spray painted it green because I was tired of looking at it. It's like a bright white. And that gives me basically, it's mesh Wi-Fi. It's these TP-Link Deco outdoor units, and I have them placed around outside. So basically this entire property is has Wi-Fi now, which is nice because it doesn't even have good cell service, certainly no internet. It's been nice to have that out here. And it's just cool to have like outlets randomly in your in the woods and in your pasture. And as you can see, I've got some cameras on there. I've got cameras all over the place, basically for to be like game cameras, stuff like that, seeing what's crawling around out here, which is always fun. It's always fun to go through the events on those cameras and see what's out here. So anyway, I don't know if we're going to find the chickens today, but yeah, like I said, I'll put some photos of the chickens up there in a bit. But anyway, that's that. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful out here. My wife and I are super happy to be out here. I know it's a bit of a tech meme to become a farmer or something. We're definitely not farmers. I still program every day. I'm a full-time programmer. That's how I earn my living. I don't think I could earn a living farming, honestly. I'm not good enough at it, and that's really hard work. I'm good at being a programmer, but absolutely love being out here, and all the time that I can spend out here in the woods, playing around, doing the chickens, all that. I also would love to get probably a couple of donkeys or a couple of horses. Can't really make up our mind. Eventually we'd get both. That barn has essentially 3 stables. One of them is big enough for 2, as long as they got along. Really the only thing holding us back from getting horses or donkeys is figuring out how to not get scammed. Like our chickens were given to us by a family friend. Also, my wife and I actually built that coop. That was pretty fun. I'll put a picture up of us doing that. But anyways, the chickens were from just like a family friend. But the chickens that that they were willing to give up are chickens that just didn't get along with the other chickens. So the same thing is true with like horses and donkeys. If people are going to give you a horse or a donkey or even sell you, nobody wants to sell you their good horses or good donkeys. They want to get rid of their bad ones. So as soon as we can figure out how to get some good horses or donkeys, we certainly would be very interested in doing that. But until then, yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But anyway, yeah, that's the ranch. Yeah, hope you guys have been doing good. I'm not sure when I'll post again. I might share more of the solar journey. The solar stuff has been really cool. I think just like the tractor and a lot of the other stuff, I think people would. It's a fun engineering problem. Same thing with like the water. Honestly, like it's like as soon as you start pumping your own water, you have to think about, okay, well, how do I get that? How do I get that water from, where the source is all the way up the hills and all that? And obviously if you've got city water, you have a constant pressure. And if you have a well pump, you can be pretty good, but even powering a well pump is pretty tough. They require a lot of power. But anyways, so maybe more of that content. I don't know about programming content, honestly. I know that's like blasphemous out of my mouth, but nowadays, man, all the programming I do is with large language models. I'm not really sure why anybody would do a basic programming tutorial these days, because you can ask a language model anything that you want, and it can explain every bit, every line of code that you're confused about. And if you're confused about the whole thing, you could ask it to create a lesson plan to teach you everything you would need to know to understand that code. We really live in a completely new time and a new era for programming, and I'm not lamenting that at all. I love this era. I love programming now more than ever before. It's so fast, it's so powerful, and yeah. But making tutorials is a little tough, because it's like, why would I do that? We're zooming, we're just accelerating, and we can do anything that we want, and that's what you should do. If you want to learn to program or you want to learn how to do a certain thing, go to Claude Sonnet 3.5 or whatever it is. At least right now, at the time of my recording, that's the best one. But I'm sure other people have their opinions, and as time goes on, they will get better. Oh man, the colors are so pretty out here as it's changing. I'm recording this in like October or something. So yeah, these are nice. All the what are they called? Not sycamore, sweet gum trees out here just changing color. Anyways, that's it for me. Questions, comments, concerns, you guys know the deal. Leave them below. Otherwise, I will see you guys in another video. Hopefully less than 6 months, but you never know. Actually, bonus, as I was editing this, I got to see the northern lights all the way down here in Alabama. This is in the southern United States. Not for the first time, for the second time this year, due to these like strong geomagnetic storms that are happening. That's another nice thing out here. The skies are just so clear with very, very little light pollution, also very little noise pollution. Most of these like summer nights, for example, you can look up and you can clearly see the Milky Way with your naked eye. It's been really making me want to get deeper into astrophotography. I've been spending a lot of time outside just looking up at the stars. Anyway, okay, that's really all for now. I'll see y'all next time.